Throughout my whole life, I have always loved works of fiction, and I probably have my parents to thank for this because watching movies has always been our pastime. As a little girl, I would sit in front of the VCR watching and rewatching my favorite movies over and over again. And I did the same thing in high school, but my attachment to the characters got even more intense. I didn't have many friends in high school, so connecting to certain characters gave me the outlet of friendship that I lacked in real life. It's also what sparked my interest in the arts and my love for storytelling, which is actually what I'm going to school for. My dad grew up loving the X-Men and taught my brother and I the importance of imagination. Funny enough, my brother and I both grew up to be storytellers. There are many reasons why someone may get attached to fictional characters. There are characters that you might love because you relate to them, some you may love because you aspire to be like them, or maybe you found a friend in them like myself. Maybe you love a character that gives you hope within a dark story, or maybe you just love a character because you find them attractive. And there's nothing wrong with that, I tell you. For a long time, I've wondered why is it that I get so attached to fictional characters as if they were real. So, the past few weeks, I've been doing some research on the psychology behind this exact phenomenon. And it turns out I'm not the only one who feels this way, so I figured I would share my findings. But before we really get into it, it's important to understand this particular relationship. The type of connection that people have with fictional characters is called a parasocial relationship. This is defined as a one-sided relationship where one party expends energy, effort, emotions, while the other party has no idea they exist. It's the same type of bond that people have with celebrities and influencers too. One side feels connected to the other and feels like they know them on a personal level, whereas the other side literally doesn't know who they are at all. We feel a real human connection with them, but without the negative aspects of interactions like rejection or embarrassment. The downside is that you have to compromise an actual physical connection. We know that fictional characters aren't real, but they are representations of real people. They have personalities, problems, and quirks just like us. When watching a series and following the life of a specific character, we often get every single detail about their life and emotions. We learn about them and get invested into their lives in a way that connects us very deeply to them. We see into their every thought and feeling, so we understand why and how they are the way that they are, especially if the story is written from their perspective. We watch as they learn lessons and change as people throughout the course of their lives, just like us. We get invested into their character arcs, especially if they're well written. We see characters redeem themselves, we see them fall into despair, and we see them achieve their goals, among many other things, of course. Even if the story is set in some kind of fantasy world, fictional characters are usually given very real circumstances and oftentimes react in a very real way. And sometimes it's to situations that we have personally been through, so we can truly understand. The ability to fully understand someone else's emotions as if they are your own is called empathy, and this is what it all boils down to. When presented with a character who shows even the slightest bit of sentience, we see them as someone who has thoughts and emotions just like us. And because of that, we're able to connect with them. We often spend quite a long time with a story. Sometimes we watch the same story progress over the course of years, whether that's 7 seasons of a show, a trilogy of movies, or even a series of books. We may even see a beloved character go from a child to an adult. Because of this, they become familiar to us and we grow with them in a similar way that we would with real friends. Take Harry Potter, for example. We read the books through his perspective, so we have insight on all of his emotions. We know exactly what he's feeling at any given time, so it's hard not to empathize with him and how his life has gone. We're there with him through his happy moments in the dining hall with his best friends. We're there every time he faces a challenge. Really, we're there with him through it all, and it's almost like we ourselves are students at Hogwarts growing up, and many of us did grow up with the story of Harry Potter. Because we empathize with Harry and we're familiar with him, it's understandable why it was so heart-wrenching to watch him go to the Forbidden Forest in the last movie. A character that we love, someone that we've been following and watching for years, just walking to his death. The characters themselves may not be real, but every feeling that you get from watching them is as real as anything else. You can't make up the love you feel for them or the sadness of a favorite character being killed off. You can't make up the happiness you feel during the lighthearted beach episodes or the emptiness you feel in your stomach for a few days after finishing a series you were really invested in. I mean, people are still talking about the ending of Game of Thrones, and it happened over a year ago at this point. We know that these characters and their stories aren't real, but we're able to suspend our disbelief long enough to be able to fully immerse ourselves in the content that we're consuming. Our human brains have the ability to think, visualize, and imagine, but they can't actually differentiate between real and imagined experiences. Take this sentence for example. The pebbles crunched beneath my feet as I walked along the rocky shore. I could almost taste the salt in the air as the wind softly touches my rosy cheeks. It's almost as if you can feel the rocks beneath your feet and smell the ocean without actually experiencing it in reality. You're able to recall the scent without actually being near the ocean in this moment. The characters that we love may not exist, but our brains don't actually know that, so on a subconscious level, we react to them the same way we would a real person. It's just like Dumbledore said.
Professor? Is this all real? Or is it just happening inside my head?
Of course it's happening inside your head, Harry. Why should that mean that it's not real?
So I have come to the conclusion that the reason we get attached to characters basically comes down to empathy. Statistics even show that people who are more empathetic are more likely to grow a deeper attachment to fictional characters. We have the capacity as human beings to suspend our disbelief and immerse ourselves into fiction and connect on a real level with the characters that we love. We become familiar with the characters that we've invested so much of our time and energy in. So, although our beloved characters may not be real per se, we can conclude that the emotions that we get from them are very real. And it's actually pretty normal and mostly a good thing to get attached to fictional characters because it shows that you have the capability of connecting with and understanding other people. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this different video. This has just been something on my mind for a while. I hope you guys like the conclusion I came to and let me know down below who are your favorite characters. Mine's Levi. Bye.